additional guests tonight, but we are filming the presentation because we kind of hear on the street there's a lot of spring sports going on and people may not be able to get here, so at least we know we can put the presentation on our website. But thank you for being here, and tonight I'm just really going to be kicking things off and introducing the presenters, and then I actually have to go to school committee, which is tonight because the election was last night. So I won't be staying for the whole thing, but this is an important presentation because we're going to kind of complete the cycle of our of implementing and rolling out our ALICE safety protocols at the elementary schools this spring, and we've already implemented at the middle school and the high school, so this is kind of the last phase with our littlest ones. And Deputy Chief Calabrese and Shannon Blacker, is Shannon doing some, are you doing some of the presentation, or maybe helping it, Q&A? We'll be able to just present to you a little bit about it, and plenty of time for questions and answers. If any questions come up that need to come to me, people can either call me or email me afterward. So, Deputy Chief.
Thank you. Okay, so anyway, I'm Craig Calabrese. I've been with the Wakefield Police Department for about 17 years now. We started looking at the ALICE program back in early 2014. Just trying to see, as always, trying to keep our kids as safe as possible, see what the different programs that were out there. We looked at a few different ones, and the ALICE is what really kind of seemed to be the best fit for what we were looking to do. Fortunately, it played out the way we thought it might play out, where everyone else started jumping on after. It's been, you'll see as we go through the slides, it's recommended by many different agencies, many different government agencies, and we just wanted to make sure as we rolled it out that we rolled it out the right way. We've been working as partners in this the whole way through. We didn't want this just to be a police program or just a school program. We all have to work together, and that's what we've been doing since day one. We've got all different committees to decide what is best for each grade level, because the teachers know the students better than we do. We know the safety part as well as the teachers do, but we didn't want to dictate what each kid was going to get, and I think most importantly at the grammar school level to make sure we got it right. So that's why we did, the older students got the presentations and the drills last year, and the elementary school kids are getting it this year, just to give us enough time to plan and make sure that we gave them the right material and was age appropriate. So I'm just going to go through an overview of what ALICE is. A fair amount of slides, but we'll move through them fairly quickly, and then we'll show you just a few of the slides that the kids are going to be getting, just so you'll get a flavor of that. We won't go through their whole slides because it would just probably take too long, but you'll get to at least see a few of what they're going to be getting. So many of you have heard of ALICE. It's an acronym. It stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate. So the A is for alert. It's using plain language to alert other people of danger. Lockdown is schools have already been practicing lockdowns. This is just kind of, we're calling it an enhanced lockdown, and you'll see that as we go through the slides. The I is for inform. Basically, if you have a loudspeaker or something in the school, broadcasting things, instead of just putting one announcement in and then, kind of leaving people to figure things out on their own, try to update people as much as you can. The counter piece, which is if you are faced with an intruder, we're using the word intruder for the grammar school. I keep saying grammar school. I've been corrected by Dr. Smith. It's elementary schools.
Still works, but nowadays we usually say
I'm dating myself here. So anyway, the elementary schools, that was one thing we had a lot of meetings on with the district crisis teams, trying to figure out what piece we were going to give the students at what age level. The counter piece is basically teaching distraction techniques. Like if there is somebody who seems to be violent, throwing things at them just to buy time until the police can arrive. And that is an effective measure. You'd be surprised how much when something's coming at somebody, how much that shakes and alters what their game plan is. So anyway, when you see that counter piece, it's really just distraction techniques. We're not teaching them to be like martial arts fighters. It's just, we're teaching them some skills that they can use, not just in the police setting, but we're trying to tell people that you could use this anywhere. You can use it you can use these skills at a mall, at a movie theater. It's not just applied to the school, so we're trying to teach them life skills. Unfortunately, skills that we weren't talking about 20 years ago, but now, unfortunately, we do. The E is for evacuate. So that's one of the big pieces of Alice is if you can safely get out of the building, they want people to get safely out of the building. So again, we'll get to that in a little bit. So Alice is not a complete procedure. It's a set of general recommendations that fit each building and grade level. All of the things that we're teaching the teachers as well as the students, a lot of it depends on your school, the size of your school, and those teachers and students can make decisions that are the best fit for where they're at. So it gives them the authority to make the best decisions that they feel are in front of them at that time. So, as I said earlier, this is research-based. Department of Homeland Security, Governor, the Massachusetts School Safety and Security Task Force, International Association of Chiefs of Police, and the NYPD. They've all recommended this set of safety procedures. So, like I said, we got into this early, and I'm happy that we did because we've had the ball rolling on this well in advance. When you go to the Alice training, several of us have been. We have several police officers on our staff. Probably a good time for me to introduce my good friend Kelly Tobine over here. Officer Tobine is the school resource officer at Galvin School. She's been trained in Alice, as well as Officer Jason Skillings. He's our school resource officer at the high school. Dave, along with myself, will all be helping with the elementary school drills and presentations to the teachers will be handling that. But we've all been involved in this throughout the whole process. We also have several school members, faculty members that have been trained as well, and we have one at each grade level. So we have a representative from the elementary schools that was trained, vice principal at the Galvin, as well as one of the guidance counselors at the high school. So we have someone from each grade level, again, to help us when we're planning these drills, what's the best age-appropriate strategy as we move forward. One of the big ones that people like to use we go to the Alice training, they illustrate several different mass casualty incidents in schools. One of them that highlights why Alice can be effective is the Virginia Tech, where 32 people were killed in that. It was another tragic event where one individual was able to cause a lot of damage in a very short amount of time. And within that, it only took police 3 minutes to get there. So it's amazing how much can be done in a matter of time, and that's why we stress. We're fortunate in Wakefield, police cruisers within usually a mile of an incident at any time, maybe 2 miles at the most. We will be here. We will be at the school quickly, but 2 minutes is going to feel like 2 hours to the people who are involved. So we want to prepare them as much as we can to teach them to buy as much time until we can get there. So basically, the lessons from Virginia Tech can all be boiled down to this. They're showing that there were 28 fatalities of people who were basically just passive targets. They really didn't, they kind of just hunkered down, didn't really do anything active to try to protect themselves. A little bit, some of that is skewed, meaning that the first room that the intruder goes into, those people were helpless. They would have no time to react to that. But the other people, as they're hearing the noises, they're able to do some things that help to protect them. So he starts in room 206, he enters 207, and he continues shooting. Students in room 205 hear gunshots, they barricade the door. Gunman is unable to enter. Room 211 students start barricading as the shooter is entering. It's too late and he gets in. 2 surviving students in 207 barricade the door as the shooter attempts to re-enter. He tries the door but fails to get in. Returns to 211 and shoots more students. In room 204, the teacher braces the door with his body as students jump from the window. He's able to connect on 5 out of 19. So, of all the different ones I've seen, I think Virginia Tech is the best illustration of how being active it's not going to prevent anything from happening, but it's going to limit, limit the damage. Truth about the active shootings, if the shooter is determined he or she will get into the building, no matter what security you have, if they want to get in. Now, if they want to get in, there's probably a good chance they're going to get in, but again, the more time you can buy them, the more safety measures that are in place, and each school has those in place. Again, you're still buying time, which is important. Passive and static targets become easy victims, and compliance is dangerous. So, one of the things is that a lot of these incidents, what they do is they examine and they show that these they're not well trained, the individuals that are involved in all of these incidents, but they have very high success ratios. And it's because, again, most of the time their targets are very passive. They're not moving around. When police officers are involved in active incidents like that, our ratios, we're well trained in theory, and their percentages of hits are greater than ours. And the reason for that is we're in a dynamic situation in all of these events. And things are moving around, things are coming at us. When these people are just going in and again, we call them the static targets, it's why they're so effective. Why do they pick schools? High profile, good publicity for cause. Again, just like the bomb threats. They don't call bomb threats usually into just a random residence because they're not going to get the publicity that they would if they call it into a school. It's the same thing here. Potential for mass casualties, traditionally low resistance by school occupants, high plan of success. So anyway, what we've been doing all along is lockdown. Is it bad? No. It's actually one of the more important parts of ALICE. It's just something that we can improve on. And we're always looking to improve no matter what it is. I would like to improve on ALICE. There's always something that we can do better. So again, we have the alert. It can be anything that alerts somebody to a possible intruder. They're getting away from plain codes. A lot of times schools would use, a code red, a code blue, a code yellow. They want to get away from that because not everybody knows what that means. Some of the people in the school might know if you're there all the time, but the substitute teacher might not know what that means. A parent who's in for a meeting might not know what that means. So they just want the plain language going out so everyone knows what's going on. And then obviously just the, different means of communication, 911, PA systems, whatever people have available. The L is for lockdown. Decision is made to either secure the room or evacuate. That decision is made by the teacher, whatever they feel is the best given that scenario. They lock the door, they cover any windows and doors if possible. Same thing they've been doing up to now. The only enhanced thing is we're teaching them to barricade those doors. So sometimes in a panic, you might be fumbling with a lock or something like that. We want them sliding things in front of the door, and we'll give some examples of that too. And then once the classroom is barricaded, remain vigilant and adapt to the evolving incident. So instead of just kind of sitting in a corner, we want them kind of ready because the situation can change from 1 minute to the next. And that's another thing that we're stressing with the ALICE program is to just be ready for the next thing because all of these change like that. When we talk about barricading, these are just some of the simple things that we teach people. Just sliding a simple door wedge under a door, like that. You'd be surprised how effective something like that is, just in either stopping the door or slowing it down considerably. And then once you have something like that in place, you can slide things in front of the door to make it even harder for somebody to get in. And a lot of these things, they look big, but they slide pretty easily. So we're also kind of telling teachers to, as they look at their room, start to think about, okay, are all my heavy objects, on the other side of the room? Maybe I should put a couple things a little bit closer to the door just in case I have to use it. So again, just some of the things we're kind of communicating to the faculty. This is just some simple things as well. That's a door hinge on the right that just has an electrical cord tied around it. So if you have a hinge like that, that's just another thing that you can hold on to. There's simple things that make it a lot more difficult for somebody to get in. The picture on the left is actually just a belt tied around the door handle. So I can take my belt off, tie it around the door handle, and just pull it to the side, and it's going to make it harder for that person to get in. These people that come in, they know that they don't have time, so they're going to take the path of least resistance. So these aren't like highly trained SWAT teams that have these flashbangs and blow up, they know how to get into a room quickly. They want to get in, and they're not going to waste their time trying to, if something's tough to get into, they're going to move on down. I, again, for Alice's inform, again, it's just using plain language, keeping it simple, who, what, where, when, and how. What does the person look like? Where are they going? What do they have on them? Provide real-time information, and then everyone takes that information and makes the best decisions that they can. Again, the C is the counter piece. Been a little, probably the most thought-provoking piece in terms of what grade level you start that, in terms of teaching kids to those distraction techniques. We had a lot of meetings on that. Dr. Smith actually formed a subcommittee for that with the elementary school faculty to try to decide what would be the best age appropriate to kind of break that off. We've already taught that at the to all the grades at the Galvin School. So basically what was decided is that the students at grades 3 or 4 could handle something like that. They're going to still get a modified version of what the older kids got, but at least they're going to get a piece of it, and it'll make it even easier as they go to the Galvin, because they'll already have kind of a simplified version of it. Then when they go to the Galvin, I think they'll assimilate into that even easier. So it's just simple proactive techniques. Basically, it's teaching somebody, if you can pick up a book or you can pick up a stapler or something to throw at somebody that's trying to harm you, that can be an effective means. We're not teaching them to throw it at their friends. It's not a time for, they're going to be clear about what it's used for and when it isn't. But basically, that's what the counter piece is. Okay, it's just trying to distract that person with whatever means you have. And any of the grammar school teachers, whatever help they can get from those kids, the better. Obviously they may not be able to get as much as a 17-year-old, but you'd be surprised that every little bit helps in that situation. And then noise too. We're going to teach them to be loud, because the more things that person who's trying to do harm, the more things that they have to try to process up here while they're trying to focus, is going to make things a lot harder for them. All right? It's just like when someone pulls a fire alarm and you're trying to think, it's very difficult to think and make decisions while something's being loud. So that's all part of the counter piece. It's not just throwing things at them, just being noisy. We all know, I have kids, I know they can make noise, so we'll, and then, again, just a few of the examples that we can use. Books, staplers, all those kind of things. ESV, the evacuation. Only 2% of violent intruder events in the United States have been by more than one person. An evacuation will occur if the teacher feels that it's the best option at any given time, exit in a quick but safe manner using the best exit based on the situation. And then we're going to tell the kids, obviously, listen to the directions. So a couple key points there is that, you might, teaching the staff that you might always go out the same door for a fire drill. But when you're thinking about this stuff and we're training on the drills, you want to find the quickest and best path out, which may not be the same door that you always use for a fire drill. That might be the best door right now, but that's not our fire drill door. So we want them thinking again outside the box of, okay, if something's going on down there, I'm using that door. And again, it's only if the teacher feels that it's safe. I will say that when we do the examples, like at the high school, we talk about, if somebody is doing something in the gymnasium, in the field house, obviously the people on the other side of the building are so far from that event that getting out of the building is probably a pretty good decision in that situation. But as you get into the elementary schools, you know, your buildings are smaller, so someone can get from one end of the school to the other a lot quicker. So that's why I say that we're giving the teachers all this information, but what works for a high school teacher in a bigger building may not work the same way for, you know, a teacher in this building may be more likely to barricade a room than they would evacuating in the high school just because of the scale of the building. That's all. So some key points. Alice does not follow a set of actions, you know, you shall, must, will. We're not telling teachers, you know, what they should do, what they shouldn't do. We're just telling them what they may do in any given situation, and they can make the decision. They may use one or two parts of the plan, or they may use all 5 parts. It empowers the faculty to make the best decisions for their students. And again, teaches skills that can be used both inside and outside the classroom and well beyond the school-aged years. Alice implementation. Again, I've kind of already touched on this. Faculty members representing the grades have been trained. Back in 2014, several WPD officers, committee that I mentioned was formed to plan for the whole thing, and then a subcommittee for the grammar school level. We've already completed this at the high school in the Galvin last year. This year we're still doing follow-up drills, so they're staying on top of this. And again, now we're going to the faculty at the elementary schools has already had this back in the fall. They had been talking about it the year before, just getting some basic instruction on it, but we had the kind of the formal instruction back in the fall. Now I'm just going to show you some of the slides just so you get a feel for what some of the kids are going to get. And the kids at all these grade levels are going to get these from their teachers. Just the committee felt that at this age level, they'll be best, they know what their kids can handle and what they can't better. And what I found is that we did touch on this a little bit at one of the private schools, and when the younger kids see us, it kind of ramps them up a little bit, and they probably start asking questions that get a little bit off track and they wouldn't normally go to with the teacher. So I think it will probably stay more on track from the teacher. So these are some of the slides. Just basically, you know, we're telling the kids that the schools are safe. Sometimes we have in drills at school. They help us practice to stay safe in an emergency. When there's an school will be an announcement over the loudspeaker. Someone might say, intruder in the school, lockdown, announce where the intruder is in the school. For the elementary schools, we're just using the word intruder. When we do the high school and stuff like that, we're using bigger language than that in terms of weapons and you know, everything that we would actually be saying, you know, that at just more age-appropriate language. But for this, we're just calling it intruders. When we hear an announcer, we'll be quiet and listen very carefully to our teacher. We'll follow their directions. Our teachers know just what to do. Our teacher will block up the door to keep us safe. Teacher may need to use a rope or a belt to keep the door closed. We may need to help our teacher to block the door. We'll need to be very quiet. And then just you know, try to make kids feel okay if some of this is bothering them. That you know, making a funny feeling, they feel scared. It's okay to feel scared or nervous during a safety drill. Feel better knowing that my teacher and all my classmates are following the directions so we stay safe. So, you know, we're trying to gear it down to that age level as best we can. It's not going to be perfect. Every kid's going to react differently, but you know, we've all gone through. We've looked at several different ways to present this, and we tailored this down. I think it's going to be pretty effective. We've had good luck with the way we've done things at the high school and the Galvin, so I have no reason to believe that this won't be just as successful. So it's kind of the brief overview of what Alice is and some of the slides in terms of what the kids will be getting. Because Does anybody have any questions? I just will say that when we did the question and answer for we did a whole district one last year. Parents from any grade could come. Some of those questions were police related and some of them were more for like the superintendents. Dr. Smith obviously had to leave for the school committee meeting, but she said that anything that she would need to answer should be, if you just sent her an email, she would get right back to you. So I'll just preface that before I start taking questions. Yes, ma'am.
Will they do this every year as they go on? Like each year, will it be done in the first grade and the second grade? Will they do it every year for the students?
Well, as far as the presentation part, they may just do it for the it depends on the grade level, because like a kid going into third grade who may be receiving the counter piece, they're going to need to get that new presentation. But like at the Galvin school, if the kids have already had that, not the new kids coming in,
So fifth grade?
but like, yeah, so they would be getting it. But like sixth grade, they would just be doing the drill practice, unless we had new information or new students that haven't had it before. Yeah, so we're trying to, it's just like too, we got to keep up with faculty, because you get new faculty up here and they have to get the material as well. But no, that's a good question. So like the first graders going into second grade may not, may or may not. They may decide they're going to do the whole presentation again. That'll be up to Dr. Smith. But they will be definitely practicing the drills, just like just like they keep up with fire drill practices. They'll be doing barricade techniques, and you'd be surprised. We've done them. That it's amazing how quick you can just have someone try to barricade a room. I mean, literally, it takes 2 minutes to set up, and it takes 3 minutes to put back together. In 5 minutes, you can practice that, and it's easy. And the more they do it, the more repetition they have, the better they'll get at it. So that's something that we've talked about. You can see a room like this, with all these, with multiple doors, especially at some of the bigger cafeterias that have so many doors. A room like this is going to be more difficult to barricade than a room that just has one door. So again, you talk about different teachers doing different things. You got to look at your room. Something like this, you might be better off getting out quick, as opposed to the time it's going to take you to block 2 doors as opposed to 1. So, it's just, as I'm standing here, you can start to see the different things that come into play. So, did you have a question, Mary?
No, mine was
Same
along
thing?
the same line, because
Yeah.
my kids are in kindergarten, so obviously they're not going to get some of the more advanced,
Yeah. So K through kindergartners will be getting the same version as like the first graders and second.
Right.
But then once they hit third grade, it steps up a little bit. Then when they hit the Galvin, it steps up a little bit more. Basically, the Galvin through the high school is getting the same. They're all getting the same presentation. So once they hit that level, it's consistent all the way through. That was another thing of where do we cut off the full presentation, but the Galvin faculty felt that they could, at that age level, could handle pretty much the full. And then we didn't have an issue with it at all. Yes, ma'am.
I came in late, so I may have missed this, but
That's
how
okay.
many times do we do the drill, like do the practice drills for the year?
Well, they're going to get one set this year, and then as they go into next year, Dr. Smith will decide how many she wants to do, per year, whether it's going to be once in the fall, once in the spring, or three times. The way we've been doing it is they're doing like, we do them in like full sets of drills, so they practice an evacuation, they practice a barricade, and they practice a counter, like all together. That's the way we've been doing it, but it may go to next year where they practice just a counter one day and then they do a barricade another day. Like I said, the barricade is something they can do more often because it's so quick, but if you want to practice an evacuation, even though when they do the evacuation, they're not sending the kids like to another school. It's just once you get outside, it's kind of the drill's over. But that still takes more time out of the school day. So they'll be planning for that next year to see how often, but it will be more of a regular practice. Just like they do practice lockdown drills now. So it's going to be just, another piece off of that. So kind of just taking the practice drills for the lockdown and maybe just increasing them by a little bit.
I don't know if this is a stupid question.
There's no stupid question.
In the event that we are having lockdown, is anyone encouraged to try and get to the firebox and pull a fire out?
Everybody asks that. Well, that's a good question.
Oh,
What happens is we don't encourage that, because what happens is when someone pulls that, no one can hear any of the announcements that may be coming. So people are going to be wondering, should I leave? Is there a fire? Should I not? So basically, that's going to in these scenarios, we would rather not. If somebody does it, they do it, but it can cause problems for the, it's good in terms of the distraction techniques that I was talking about, because that person coming in has to process a bunch of stuff, but all the other people that are in the building, they are going to have a hard time thinking and processing as well. So it can have kind of a lot of those announcements and things that we want to try to get across aren't always won't be as effective. The flip side, though, is where you have areas that are kind of like dead spots and may not be able to pick up as well some of the information that are coming over the loudspeakers. The newer schools are better for that. The older schools, they're actually going through all the schools now and just trying to figure out where, if there's any dips in the communication.